what's up, buddy?
Yeah, not much. Just something I caught at the tail end of the webinar. You said something about you were talking about quadplexes, which I assumed you meant like a 4 unit apartment building, like where there's
Yeah.
4 different apartments. You said briefly that there's no curtilage in a quadplex.
No,
Is
no,
oh,
negative. And,
so
and,
there's
and go ahead.
well, it's okay. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the reason why is because curtilage requires exclusivity, right? It's exclusive to that person. Curtilage, curtilage is treated like the home itself, right? That's a case called Hardina's. How can you say that a backyard that's shared with three other families, right, is like your home? It's like your kitchen. It's not. That's why it cannot be curtilage. However, depending on the state and their view of the Fourth Amendment and so forth, it still can be protected by the Fourth Amendment, but not at that curtilage level. It's going to be under just a standard, vanilla, good old fashioned, reasonable expectation of privacy test.
Now, would that apply to in Pennsylvania? We have a lot of 2 units as well, like side by sides. Would you see that the same way that it's 2 rented units and technically it's open to either one?
So look, you're saying that you have a scenario where you have a duplex and they share the backyard, like they actually they can be on the left side, the right side. It's both of their backyard.
Well, I'll ask you both ways. Yes, and then what if no? What if there happens to be a fence going down even if it's just a little like a chain link fence or something? So
Correct.
what if it's
Okay. So
open and what if it's not open?
okay, good. I love it. So if it's open, look, it's not. I should say this. In my experience, because we have a lot of duplexes in Las Vegas as well, right? In my experience, there is this agreement that you don't cross, you don't mow another man's lawn, right? You don't go into the left side if you're on the right side. Even if there's no fence, there might be some telltale signs about where the boundary marker is. But regardless, even if it's a shared, if it's a space that looks open, it probably like the left side belongs to the left person and so forth. However, if it is designed to really be a community space where there's like a barbecue pit in the middle and they can either one can use it, they're based on social conduct and agreement, it's both of their spaces. It's not curtilage. However, when you like, we can also agree though that when you go from eightplex to a fourplex to a duplex, right? That you're getting more and more, you're building more and more reasonable expectation of privacy. We can agree on that.
Yes.
A duplex just feels more private than a quadplex and go on. So if I had a cop, let's say that, you know, let's say that especially Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is obviously it's an okay state for the search and seizure, but you have to be careful there, right? So
Right.
but let's say we had an officer say, "Oh man, I think he's dealing drugs out of his duplex," and the word on the street is he hides it under this bush in the backyard, and the backyard is kind of like an open space where either one can access it. I would not be jumping that fence. I would not be saying to myself, it's not curtilage, so it must be open field. No, I do not think it's open field. I think it's an area of a reasonable expectation of privacy. So therefore, I would be getting exigency, consent, or a warrant. And the consent can come from the other guy, by the way, right? Because if it is a shared area, then the other neighbor can also access it, and therefore he can give you consent. But to answer your question, it's still not curtilage. No.
Now, do you think it would change a little bit? We'll stay with the duplex part because, like I said, that's a little more restrictive. What if the property owner occupied one of those units? Could they argue that I only allow myself and my tenant onto this property? Like, would that change the discussion if the property owner was one of the occupants of one of the units?
And so you want, but what's the question is, you want to hop at the fence and not get anybody's permission, or do you want to get the landlord's permission? Is that what you're kind of like?
Well, if we're saying there's no curtilage and we could go onto it, but what if one of the occupants is the owner? Would he have even with the tenant's property, would he have an expectation of, hey, this whole thing is my property, as if it was one big unit or one big house?
Right. Well, I want to be careful though. I really do believe, I think hopefully I made this clear. I do believe that if you are dealing with a duplex, and they do have a shared backyard. Like it's socially acceptable for them to just use this backyard, throw a baseball or football around, barbecue back there, and it's that shared space. But it's just down to these two people. It's not curtilage, but
Okay.
it is an area of exploitation of privacy, and we should not look at it as an open field. It's especially when it has a fence around it and so forth, right? So it's not going to be like I would not look at it as a common area of an apartment complex. A lot of apartment complexes have what shared barbecues, right? Little shade structures and swings. Those are not curtilage because everybody just shares it, right? But
Yeah.
this
Big parking
duplex,
areas.
but if you do have, and look, I think, look, in my experience, most duplexes, their backyard is delineated. It is segregated. You stay on your side of the duplex, right? And that would be curtilage. I think we can agree on that.
Right.
But if it's some odd, I think an exception where it is a shared space, it can't be curtilage because it's not like your kitchen, right? It's not shared. Your kitchen is not shared, and right, so it's not curtilage. However, it's still there's still a privacy interest there, and cops should be very careful going back there without any permission. Going back to the landlord, if it is a space for the tenant where it is exclusive to the tenant, and the cop is like, yeah, that's pretty much their space, they cannot get the landlord's permission to be back there because obviously the landlord does not have common authority over their tenants' private areas. So you still have to be careful
Gotcha.
unless it's shared. Unless it's shared. If it's shared, then you can get one person's permission. Cool.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I hope
Yep.
that
Thank
helps.
you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yep.